Hi everyone, and welcome to a new series of the REFSIX Weekly. I am joined by my co-host Jon and Rimon, and for those who don't know, my name's Hassan. Jon, Rimon, how's your summer been?
Awesome. Good. Glad to be back on the podcast. Looking forward for it.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's been good. Football season started halfway through July, so it's been non-stop really.
Yeah, and obviously we were massive fans of the Euros that obviously happened in England. Almost got there, and we had a really interesting semi-final between England and Denmark that kind of split the pod. But Rimon, have you got over it by now?
No penalty. That's all I have to say.
We'll agree to disagree. So for those who are listening, welcome back. This podcast is all about refereeing. And with the start of the new Premier League season, we thought we'd start and give a roundup of a few of the major incidents that have happened over the first few games. But before I go into those, we're going to just touch on some news. And there's been a lot of news, and we covered most of it during the Euros or during the last season's pods. But basically, the one big piece of news that's come out of England is the German ex-FIFA German referee Bibi Steinhaus is now the first ever women's select group director at the PGMOL, which is the Professional Game Match Officials Limited, the organization that runs basically elite referees in the country. So it's a huge appointment for the women's game. The top level female referees now report into the PGMOL rather than the FA. So lots and lots of new development in the women's game in terms of refereeing. So that's super exciting and a great appointment. So yeah, that's the major news. We'll just dive straight into some of the key incidents that have happened. Overall, the first weekend seemed to go pretty seamlessly without a lot of incident. And there's been a few incidents this weekend, but we'll obviously touch on them. But overall, it seems like the referees have changed the way they're refereeing in the league this season. Maybe it's a reaction to the Euros, but it seems as though, they're looking for more clear-cut fouls. If there's contact, it's okay. A contact doesn't need to be a foul. And what we've seen is some decisions that may have been given in previous years not been given. And then obviously the intervention of VAR has completely changed too. So this has been a hot topic. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Jurgen Klopp have come out and said, they're not too sure. It feels like we're wrestling, or it feels like we're going back 10 years. But overall, there's been some really good feedback. Gary Lineker has said some good things, and some other people. So, Rimon and Jon, what are your thoughts on the way the style of referee has changed? The refereeing has changed in the first two kind of match day weekends.
Yeah, well, I definitely see the line of the referees a bit higher this season. They allow a bit more. The VAR is not that involved anymore, still involved, but not the same way as last season. And I like that, but I still feel that VAR is always a topic to be discussed, right? Like there's always something with VAR, and that's just how it is. Yeah. But yeah, I like the new line they set this season so far, the last two games. So we'll see if they keep doing that for the rest of the season.
Mm-hmm. And Jon?
Yeah, I really like it. It's very similar to the Euros. I think the game flows more, and I think it's quite similar to how I'm refereeing this year as well, in terms of, maybe letting the first foul or two go, the little cheap ones, and then being like, this is the standard now, we're going to play, and you're going to get physical. And I quite like it. It makes it feel very League One, League Two, which is where, proper football's played.
So are you suggesting that you're a Premier League referee now? Is that
yeah, just stick me in there. FA Cup final this year.
Remember to use REFSIX.
Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so I guess the first kind of one of the major talking points from the weekend kind of relates to this. It was Southampton scored a goal against Man United. The first goal, the game finished 1-1. And there was a challenge by a Southampton player on Stevens, was it? Yeah. And a challenge on Bruno Fernandes to win the ball back that then resulted in the ball being passed through to Armstrong and then Che Adams to take a shot on goal, which got a deflection off Fred, right? Yeah. And so some people were saying, well, there was a foul in the build-up. Are VAR going to get involved, etc.? What did you guys think? Personally, I didn't think it was a foul.
Yeah, I'm on that. Yeah, I'm on that opinion of. I think he stepped across the player, won the ball. You know, he's put it shoulder to shoulder. He's not really come from behind. It's very much side to side. I think Bruno Fernandes doesn't expect him, and you know, is very shocked when he comes in for a challenge like that. It's not reckless. It's not malicious. I think, you know, he's won the ball fair and square, passed it across, and obviously you look at Fernandes' reaction. If that goal isn't scored, Fernandes goes, "Oh, I've got away with one here."
Yeah.
But obviously Fernandes is unhappy because Southampton have gone and scored, and has probably realised that he's the one that's given the ball away.
Yeah, sure. And let's go to our resident Man United fan.
I have to disagree. No, I want to disagree with John, but I have to agree with John. I think Bruno wasn't expecting Stevens from behind, and poor decision from Bruno. I think he should have been more observant. Should have looked back and see if there was a player coming. Maybe the rest of the team should help him out. I mean, but it's not a foul. It's not a foul. Definitely continue. I don't think even the VAR was involved, right? I don't remember seeing VAR. So
well, they would have looked at it, but obviously,
again, they look at all goals scored. So they probably looked at it, but we didn't need to see it on TV. So I guess it was fine. I mean, yeah, I wanted a free kick, but it's not a free kick. I wanted a free kick.
Sure. And there was something very similar in the Man City Norwich game. Almost identical situation. However, in terms of, you know, there was a foul or a potential foul in the build up to a goal. The ball was passed around a few of the attackers, and I think it was Bernardo Silva who ended up putting it in the back of the net, right?
Yeah.
But it was deemed, and VAR did get involved in this instance. There was a foul in the build up by a Man City player on the Norwich player. So, John, what are your thoughts on that one?
I think it's a foul, and I think we've obviously spoken a lot about VAR on like handball and things, but the only thing that they haven't really like broken down for us is the phases of play.
Yeah.
Like, when do we know it's a new phase of play? When have the defenders reset? So therefore the foul is irrelevant. But again, I think it's foul in the build-up. I think it'd be nice for that clarification to come and say, okay, you know, 4 or 5 passes or the defenders are all set. Like we reset and we go again a bit. I think it's kind of like rugby, isn't it? Where if they set, it's a new phase of play.
So from my understanding, and the terminology that they use is the attacking phase of play, the APP. So basically, when the attacking team get the ball and are making an attack, that's when if it goes backwards and the play resets slightly, that's when they will reset the APP. So if the fouls happened and the ball goes through, pass and goes in the goal, that would count. But if the foul happens and then they play it back all the way to their keeper, that would reset the APP and start again. So, but you're right. It's not the problem or the challenge is every incident is very different and in isolation in its own right. So it's really hard to say, okay, well, here's the specific time unless they shared some of the communications, right? But Rimon, you thought the same? It was I mean,
on the replay, you clearly see that Bernardo Silva hits the Norwich player on his ankle.
Yeah.
So there was a contact. It was build up play. So definitely a free kick.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe we're gonna get a better understanding of when do we call it, when do we take the goal off, because if it was part of the build-up. So let's see.
And no, great. And then let's move on to some of the penalties that could or couldn't have been or did or didn't get given this weekend. So, and I think at least 2 of them, well, all 3 of them would have been checked by VAR, of course, but one was actually given or recommended a review by VAR, which was my team, Newcastle. We've had 3 VAR incidents this year, and I can't remember us having many last year at all. Unfortunately, it seems like they're all correct, but so the score was 1-0. The ball's gone into the box. There's the shot, and Jamal Lascelles, it's hit Jamal Lascelles. I would argue fairly point blank. But with the new law, there is a very specific wording around the hands, the position of the hands, etc. So was this just a clear penalty to you guys, or do you have any sympathy with the fact that the ball was, pretty close to him when it was actually shot by the attacker?
When I saw it, I didn't see the whole game, so I only saw the replay. But I think it was Mings who hit the ball, and it hit the Newcastle player on the arm. And I think that there was enough distance. I don't think it was close. He wasn't close to the Newcastle player, so I definitely think it was a penalty. And his arm wasn't in a natural position, so so it was blocked by his arm and thereby penalty.
And Jon, on this one, where does the line cross from just a handball to denying a goal by hand?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. I think in terms of the handball, we talk about, it's pretty close, but Jamal Lascelles, his arm is an extension, isn't it? He's moved his arm up, and that's what we've discussed about a lot in the office, about how this new handball works. But I also think for it to be a denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, he's basically got to save it on the line, because I'm pretty sure, remember, there's a lot of players around, the ball's not struck particularly hard, and the keeper's still there.
Yeah.
You try and tick off DOGSO with speed, direction, covering defenders, and if you don't tick one of them boxes, is there a covering defender? Yes, then you can't send them off for DOGSO. And I think the keeper is there and is the covering.
Yeah, no. I was worried for a second, but I completely agree with all of those. Couple more penalties, and then Rimon will go to some of the red cards, right? But there was a penalty given in the Everton game, foul on Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah.
He was through on goal, and there was, I think it was a pulling by one of the Leeds defenders. And the big question, definite penalty, easy. The big question for me and for other people is yellow card or red card. So the referee, I think he gave a yellow card.
Yeah.
But the question is, why is a red card not shown for DOGSO in this occasion? So who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So my interpretation of the reason it's not a red card, because it's obviously a pulling offence, so it's not a genuine attempt to play the ball. I think the only thing that saves the Leeds player is the fact that Dominic Calvert-Lewin doesn't have control of the ball, because obviously he's pulled down before the ball is get there. So because he doesn't have control, you can't say that it's a clear and obvious goal scoring opportunity, because he doesn't actually have the ball.
Yeah.
I think that's the only thing that saves the Leeds player here, because everything else is ticked. If it's in the box and it's a pull down, then it's a straight red card in that situation.
Because there was no covering defenders.
No, there's no genuine attempt to play the ball.
Big direction, right by the goal.
Yeah, proximity. His next touch is a shot on goal.
Yeah. So it's just the fact that he's not got control of the ball that saves him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, brilliant.
Yeah, I want to challenge that a little bit, because I remember one of our podcasts, we had a West Ham game where if you imagine that the attacker was left alone and then later pulled by the defender and he's all alone, he still doesn't have control over the ball, right? And who says that he would have control over the ball if he wasn't pulled by the defender, right? So, and I just took my theory test, so I hope I'm not failing this, but I see why the yellow card, but I mean, it could have been a red card as well. If he hadn't pulled him, he probably have taken it. I mean, the ball wasn't that far away from Calvert-Lewin, so if he wasn't pulled by the defender, I definitely think he would have control over the ball. No players around them. Definitely, I would say a 98% chance for scoring a goal there.
I think I completely get you, Rimon, and I think this is one of those borderline cases where you could probably support both. But I think, at least my understanding from a from a DOGSO perspective is you want to try and keep the players on the field unless all of those fours are definite. Like you wouldn't have to argue about it. That's fair. The challenge would be is, let's say he blew the whistle. As soon as the pull happened, he blew the whistle. The ball ends up at Calvert-Lewin and he blazes it over the bar. Really bad, you know, you couldn't say it was a DOGSO then, in the sense that, you know.
But you probably also could look back at the game and see if there's been any major incidents. If not, then maybe let's not ruin the game, as you say, and give him a yellow card and move on.
What's football's expectation there? I don't really think anyone expected him to be sent off.
No, I agree.
No. I don't think there were any big reactions to it, like from Everton players about red cards. So I just think we could challenge it a bit and maybe it's a red card or not, but I think also it's a good decision, a great decision by the referee. And then they're in England.
Newcastle have been poor this season so far, but Arsenal are very close to being in the same boat. The Arsenal team played Chelsea this weekend, and Saka was playing, which is great to see. He ran through into the box and challenged by England teammate Reece James in the box, goes down. Rimon, why was this not given?
Yeah, I mean, they're both trying to play the ball right, as I saw. Saka wanted to kick the ball, and James tried to prevent him from kicking the ball. They both fell down. I don't think that there was a penalty. It's just, I mean, I don't know why it was a bit clumsy. It was hard to see what's going on. So, but from the images I saw, I didn't see James did anything criminal in the penalty box. I also think Saka went a bit quick down. So, I mean, he didn't slide or anything. I didn't see him sliding James. So trying to play the ball, and in my opinion, he also played the ball. So, but maybe Jon has a different opinion on this one. I don't know.
Jon, are you giving this a penalty in your games?
Do you know what? Weirdly, probably, but for the wrong, my instant reaction is pen. So, you know, you look at that on the day and I've probably given it, not going to lie. But, you know, looking back, it's wrong of me to give a pen because I do think it is a tangle of legs. When I first saw it, like I said, I thought penalty, so I probably would have given it, obviously depending on angles, how close I am. And the camera angle, first of all, was quite high, so you look like a pen. But it is just a tangle of legs, I think. I think Reece James ends up almost in front of Saka first. So I think they are just both running and both fall over. So it's not a pen for me.
I think I set you both up with that because I wasn't expecting your reactions because I didn't think it was a penalty at all. I feel like that was one of those like normal coming togethers. Reece James is slightly stronger than Saka, and it just kind of showed, right? So,
and I'm definitely no penalty on this one because I remember the England-Denmark game, right?
Well, maybe. So there were two red cards that we want to talk about. Rimon, do you want to talk through? There was one, obviously, in the Leicester game.
Let's play on the Premier League, right? So there was one in the Leicester game. Jose Perez got a straight red for a reckless tackle on Pablo Fornals. The ball was played back to the Leicester goalkeeper, Smagel, and he played the ball then from the penalty area into Perez. In my opinion, I think he got a little push on the back, lost a bit control, and when he was trying to get the ball, he made a reckless tackle. His foot was straight directly on Pablo Fornals. The VAR rule was a red card. The funny thing here is the referee, Michael Oliver, didn't even see it. Like he was just continue playing. And when you saw the replay, it was very, 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 very criminal. Yeah. So but I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think about it?
So I'll go first, Jon, on this one because it's really interesting. In real time, I didn't think it was a foul. Like I didn't, the angle that we're watching TV from, it didn't look that bad. Then there was an angle which showed Michael Oliver's view, and he couldn't really. I don't think he had a straight on view, but he just had a bad angle on it. And then you see a different angle, and it's just the worst challenge ever. It's high, it's with force, and this is what in any kind of referee development conversation that we have when it comes to serious foul play. One indicator is when the player loses the ball, because as soon as they've lost the ball, they're striving to get it back. They're going to overextend themselves, and then most of serious foul play challenges are when a ball has been lost by the player, because they think they can get it back, but it's just slightly out of reach, and they're late, and they're high and clumsy, and with excessive force. So yeah, red card for me, and probably really a great kind of intervention from VAR to me, because I did not see this in real time. What about you, John?
I think it's very interesting, and I think it's very similar to the way we've said. Like, we all think originally, there's not really much to it, and it's a bit like the Sweden red card in the Euros. Do you remember the high one where everyone sees it in real time and think, it's not that bad, and you slow it down and look at it properly, and you think, actually, that's pretty nasty. And Perez, to be fair to him, he's not intended to do it, and there's no intent to hurt. He's just caught him in the wrong area at the wrong time. Like I say, he's overstretching, and it's, like I said, it's a great use that VAR has come in and done what it's realistically needed to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his reaction, he didn't want to leave the pitch because he didn't think it was on purpose.
Yeah.
And again, I just think he was pushed a little bit. Of course, that shouldn't have any meaning. But as John said, it wasn't on purpose. But yeah, there's nothing. You can't make a decision based on that. So yeah. All right. So then the last one we have for today is not in the Premier League. It's in the La Liga. It's a game between Levante and Real Madrid. There was an attacking. Real Madrid was attacking, and I think it was Vinicius Junior who wanted to play the ball, and the goalkeeper was so high up on his own field, and he thought, I don't know if he thought he was on his own penalty area, but he wasn't. So Vinicius Junior played the ball to one side, and the goalkeeper for Levante went down and took it with his hand. I think he was almost all the way up to the middle, the half. So yeah, he got straight red. And again, based on his reaction, was totally okay with it, right? He probably saved the team from a goal or something. Who knows? But what do you guys think about it, John?
I think it's spot on. The keeper knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
It's just a bit strange in terms of the keeper is a long, long way out. So there is a lot of variable to be we talk about distance from goal. The keeper's basically on the halfway line. But it's that obvious. And, it's a quick break. So you put that all into action. You can't yellow card him. Do you know what I mean? There is only one option, but it's one of the only ones where it's that easy to red card a player that high up the pitch.
Yeah, beautifully said. I think it's one of those that you don't see often, really. But maybe the start of season's got a few people a bit rusty.
Yeah.
But yeah, interesting. Cool. So that rounds up our clips from the major incidents that we've seen over the weekend. If there's any specific ones that you want us to go back and look at and talk about, let us know. Just send us a tweet, DM us on Instagram, wherever you listen or watch this. Just give us a shout. We're going to go on to an incident, John, you're going to talk us through in France. But before we do, if you're listening to this, make sure you subscribe, give us a rating. We've also started, John and I have started creating matchday vlogs that we've put on YouTube. So just search for REFSIX on YouTube and you'll find our matchday vlogs where we're taking you through kind of our matchday routine, talking you through what we do before the game, talking you through how the game went, and where we can, we're showing you footage of the game and talking you through some incidents. So definitely check that out on YouTube. Just search for REFSIX and you'll find our matchday vlogs on there. And maybe, Rimon, one day we'll get you doing one in Denmark too.
Yeah, Maybe.
But John, let's take us into the final part of the pod for this week. What was the incident that you wanted to chat about?
So it's in the Marseille game. Somebody threw I think it was a bottle on the pitch, and the Marseille player threw it back. And this then caused a mass confrontation because the fans then invaded the pitch. And I think it was Guendouzi. There were photos of him being strangled by players. And, we've spoken about mass confrontation before between players. But what do you do? Because this is, a full stadium. And if you're at grassroots level, like, how do you deal with a spectator coming on? You don't have stewards. You don't have this. So, it's a great opportunity for us to talk about how we would deal with this at our level.
Yeah. I mean, I'm I think 6 or 7 games into the season now. I've had one mass confrontation that led to some benches having a right pop at each other, but nothing yet involving fans. So this is a unique situation. I think the challenge, as soon as the player interacts with the fans, you've got a big problem, right? Because all of a sudden he's thrown the bottle into the crowd, which you could say is violent conduct and possibly needs to be a red card. There was actually a protest in I can't remember which team in the lower leagues in England where tennis balls were thrown onto the pitch, and then the players were picking the tennis balls up and throwing them back. Obviously tennis balls are a lot softer than a bottle, but there is these things to start thinking about. Is this violent conduct? Should this be sent off? But then you've kind of got to basically take charge, try and calm everyone down. If you can't, just take a step back and just watch it, take note of everything that's happened, and kind of go from there. Make sure your assistants and your fourth official, if you have one, if you're lucky enough to have one, are all taking up good vantage points, and just make a note, speak to each other, speak to both your assistants, either together or independently, before you then go and administer any action. But I think this incident led to the game being abandoned, right? Because they went back in, and this was a bit over the top. I would suggest we would never see this at kind of our level games. But yeah, Rimon, I guess you've never seen something like this in your games?
No, and the thing about it is, then if you're on the grassroots level, you probably, some of the games you're on your own. So the question here is, how much can you do? So I would say if I saw fans running into the pitch and there was some violence going on, I'll probably just take some steps back. And if it gets really, really ugly, I'll probably abandon the game and leave, so I don't get involved or anything. It's hard to say if you haven't tried it before and you haven't given any thoughts, and maybe it's a good idea to do so, because what if it happens and you're on your own, right? Do you need a backup call or a quick call to the police? I don't know. It's hard to say when you haven't tried it, but let's hope this never happens again. I don't know. Maybe if we see this too often, if we saw this too often, we probably see a lot of fences at the games, so the fans can't get into the pitch. So hopefully it doesn't get to that. But
I think it will be more stadium bans for fans. I think they'll have to play behind closed doors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But, yeah. It was a difficult one for the referee because it wasn't easy to isolate players, because all of a sudden the benches got involved. Fans were obviously on the pitch. So all of a sudden you've gone from managing 22 to probably managing 50, 60, 70. And you've got to hope that, well, in that case, that the stewards would do a little bit better of a job to hold people back. But what I find kind of crazy is the fact that obviously fans are back at stadiums. There is still a pandemic, and the fact that these fans could have had the virus getting onto the field is almost criminal, right? So it's kind of crazy, but yeah, cool.
I think it's worth noting on that if a player hits a fan, you still have to send the player off.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And that's where the system is somewhat wrong, because the fan would be ejected, won't he? And has realistically no impact on the game. But if a player, lashes out in potential self-defense, because it would be a scary situation, you are now punishing a player for correctly punishing him, but it is also something that, you know, it's not like the other team or, you know, for potentially self-defense, but still is violent conduct, but you are now, you know, affecting the game for something that has happened externally.
Yeah, it is one of those, and I've seen it before, right? I've seen fans come on the pitch and the player like kicks them to trip them up, and the referees had to send them off. And,
yeah,
you know, you got to be careful. But cool. Well, that brings an end to our first REFSIX Weekly of the season. We will be doing these weekly, as the name suggests. And we'll be talking about as many incidents as we can get our hands on. So if you've got any incidents you want us to review, whether they be at the elite level or even at grassroots or non-league level, if you've got videos, send us in and we will be talking about them. Thank you very much. Rim and John, have a good rest of your day and we'll speak next week.
Bye.